Hello and welcome back to the Barrett channel for a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the things that are being done and the measures that are being taken inside of mainland China to sort of prevent this situation getting much worse. These are things that you're going to see if you're inside of China, but that probably get slept upon over in the West or on international media. These are day-to-day things that are being done by the public, the officials, the government, on a mass scale, as precautions are being taken that probably don't get mentioned elsewhere. It's quite amazing actually seeing, you got to take it into perspective. China has a population of 1.4 billion people, and to our minds it's impossible to conceptualize that many people, but you've just got to take into consideration the sheer amount of people that is to manage under a situation like this that's unfolding so rapidly that decisions cannot be, they can't be made over 2-3 days. They need to be implemented here and now. So the simple fact that the CCP are able to implement these things nationwide so fast, and that the public, take them on board and run with it so well is really phenomenal to see, because from mine and my dad's point of view, if this were to happen in many other countries, it would just be, it would spread like wildfire. And if they tried to contain people in the way they have done here to stop the spread, by quarantining cities and even provinces of a population more than my home country, if they tried to do that in the UK, it would turn into an anarchy. There'll be riots, it'd just be madness. So I think a lot of the criticism coming from, media sources is terribly unfair, because they don't see that it just would not be able to happen in any other country, in my opinion anyway. So I'm going to pull it back in a bit, get back to the topic, and show you some of the things and the measures and the precautions that are being taken by all types of people here in China on the ground. So I'm in Shenzhen, and all these precautions are I only know that they're happening in Shenzhen, but I'm sure the provincial governments all over the nation are doing the exact same things, because they're really cracking down on this to stop it becoming an absolute ridiculously big problem, and it is growing, but right now you're seeing the numbers start to plateau a little bit, which is encouraging, other than in the Hubei province, which is a real big shame. But it seems that the efforts that are being made outside of Hubei province are starting to take their toll and sort of improve the situation a little bit. So the very first measure that I myself saw was obviously the general public started to wear face masks. I remember when I was just coming back from Malaysia, I got a message from a friend at home saying, we've heard of this new situation occurring in China, and I got back and realised that a lot more people were wearing face masks than usual. So that's when I started to think, something might be going on here. We started doing a bit of research about it. But nowadays, it's pretty much 100% of people are wearing a face mask. I don't really see anybody without one on. Actually, I saw one person without one on earlier, and I feel like the general public is kind of frowning upon it. Like, you get I'd imagine you get quite strange looks if you're not wearing one now, because in my opinion it's kind of selfish to not be wearing one at this point in time, because obviously that's the fundamental thing that you should be doing to stop breathing around other people and stuff like that. So face mask was the first one. So the second thing that came into play was the temperature checks. So first off, it was a few days after people started wearing masks and people started to realise this was a growing problem. There was temperature checks into shopping malls. That was it to start with, but now it's absolutely everywhere. Every complex you go in, even if you want to get into different areas, there's roads blocked off, which I'm going to roll some B-roll clips for. There's roads blocked off so that there's only one way you can get in and out of even areas, quite big areas as well. Okay, so I live back there. I'm wearing a pink mask now. I've changed from the blue.
didn't have any other colours in stock, but to be honest, I think they look pretty stylish in the black. Anyway, so I live back there and in my area, and they're doing this all around the city, and I'm sure they're doing it all around the country as well. They're blocking off all the roads other than one, so that you have to funnel through one area to get your temperature taken. So this is road number 1 that they've blocked off. Road number 2 closed, and this is where they're funneling everyone through so that they can take their temperature like this. Makes sense? So I'll swing it back round, and can you do it to me? And watch Bossman take my temperature. Just like that. Lovely stuff.
Every single shop you go into, which I'm pretty sure is government order.
Just yet. Whoa, that's the first one I've seen that does it from like a metre away. That must be a pretty high tech one.
If you're out and about, you're going to get temperature checked at least 10 times. Going in and out, going in the metro, any sort of public transport, all the shops, you know, everywhere. So I think that's really good. You know, as I've said before, it can be spread in an asymptomatic state, which means you're showing no symptoms. So the temperature checks are only a half measure, but you know, anything is better than nothing. So that's really good. After that, I started noticing that once it started becoming a really profound problem and everybody knew about it, this is when things started rolling out left, right and centre. So then you started seeing cling film getting put over, you know, in lifts, all the buttons in the lifts, and you know, things that are touched all the time, and they're changing the cling film every day just to help prevent the spread again. And they're actually putting tissues inside the lifts as well. In this particular lift, there were no tissues left, but I'm sure they will be replenishing those very soon. But yeah, again, just great things that people are doing to just help prevent the spread in any way possible and help the issue. Actually, now you're starting to see that cleaners, instead of just brushing the streets and stuff, they're actually going around with big disinfectant bottles on their back. So you're seeing these in metro stations, and you're seeing them on the streets. And they're just going down with these big sort of sprayers, just disinfecting everything they can. Again, which is always good. Actually, now you're seeing trucks doing the same thing. So they go around in big tankers with massive hoses on them and sort of spraying disinfectant all over the city. Nowadays as well, when you go up to a complex or a community, you actually, the security guards have to know that you live there. Before, you could pretty much get in and out of them very easily. You know, if you said, oh, I know someone in there, they'll let you in. But now, if you don't live there, you're literally not allowed in past the security gate. Just again, so in case, you know, there's friends that have come back from X, Y, and Z provinces which have a much higher risk of catching the infection, then they don't want you entering into their complex, because once it gets inside, you know, it's probably very easily spread once it's inside the building, on the door handles, you know, etc. So now all the delivery guys are having to leave their delivery packages at these stations, and the people who live there are having to come outside to collect their deliveries, which obviously everyone wants to do because it is a little bit more inconvenient, but no one cares about that because it's a good measure to be taken, again, to prevent the spread. And I think that's really good as well, because the delivery guys are everywhere. You know, these guys are going out of their way to, they're putting themselves out there, so the likelihood that they're infected is probably a lot higher than the average person, the average citizen. So that's really good. Something that's just happened after recording this video, the owners of the place that I live are going around each and every flat and taking their temperature, as well as making them scan a QR code and fill out this survey that you can see on your screen now. It's basically a bunch of details, and I'm sure this is government order, and all this data goes back to the government. So yeah, another mass sort of check. Okay, so there I've given you some of the precautions that are being taken on the ground here in Shenzhen, ones that I can see and witness and experience in my day-to-day life whilst this is going on. Now I'm going to go to sort of some of the broader precautions that are being taken, sort of the mass quarantines, etc. So first being that the Chinese New Year holiday was extended by a week by the government, so that people aren't collecting together in their work environments and spreading it about. There's actually rumours that it's probably going to turn out to be true, that it's going to be postponed for another week as well. So I would imagine this could keep happening until it starts to slow down, because I see it as it would be totally counterproductive if they were to take people off work and then throw them all back into the offices a week later when it's even worse. So I think it would be massively counterproductive if they do that. So I think they will continue to put people on holiday. So the people that do need to work, maybe they've got international businesses or they can work online, they are advising companies to sort of take their work online, which has increased the demand for like online tuition a great deal, because the culture of education and extracurricular classes here is massive. So all it's done is boosted the online tuition by a bunch. So I guess that's good for those businesses. Some of the other massive precautions that are being taken is obviously the news has come out recently about closing all but 2 of the borders over to Hong Kong. That's one precaution that the Hong Kong government have decided to take is to close as many of the borders, stop as many people travelling over from the mainland as possible, which it's their decision to make. You make your own sort of opinions on that one. As well as that, there obviously are businesses that are wanting to open up once the Chinese New Year holiday has ended. But they are required to do certain things by government order. They are required to do certain things to be able to open up. So this is a note that Daniel Dumbrill, another Chinese YouTuber, he had on his bar. So if he wants to open up, he's got to do X, Y, and Z. It's in Chinese, so I can't actually read it, but there's instructions that you've got to do, like temperature taken, sort of all these sort of disinfectant requirements that need to be done on a day-to-day basis if you do want to open up your businesses.
A second thing that's been added whilst I've been editing this video, we went to a restaurant last night and the only option was to actually take away. We couldn't sit in and eat, and again, it's a new policy that's been put in place to stop people eating in restaurants, because obviously the circulation of the air is going to sort of infect more people. So again, that's massive for those businesses. So yeah, only takeaways for now.
Another one that's been massive in the news recently is obviously the hospitals that are being built in unprecedented super speed time. They're collecting sort of builders and workers from all different provinces to come together and put up these hospitals in quick time, just so that there's enough beds and enough resources for the sick people to go, which is, they just wouldn't be able to do that in any other country. The amount of manpower that they have here is sensational. That enables these things to be able to be carried out in such a quick time. Many different provincial quarantines as well, like the Hubei province. I'm not actually exactly sure on which cities and provinces have been quarantined, but you will have heard about it on the news. Just mass quarantines to stop people from spreading it all over the nation, which is probably the biggest precaution that they have been able to take, because that would have taken a hell of a lot of managing. And the fact that the general public are all getting on board with this is really great to see, because that could really turn into absolute chaos in a lot of other countries, like I mentioned at the start. Flights as well. Flights in and out of China are being limited. Of course, there are a lot of flights into China are being limited because people aren't wanting to come to China at this time. But obviously the Chinese airlines are limiting their flights out as well, probably to just essential trading and evacuations and etc. Obviously there are some more going on as well, but they're massively reduced as to what they were before. So that gives you a taste as to the measures, the crazy huge measures that are being taken to prevent the spread of this situation from getting any worse. I think it's crazy to hear a lot of criticism on the CCP at the moment for not doing this fast enough, not doing that. And I think it's just total, you know, they're not getting things into perspective, and in my opinion they are actually wrong, because you've never seen things put into place so fast on such a massive scale. And I sometimes think that people just shout down people's neck no matter what they do, you know, just no matter what they do, even if it's a good thing, people just like to get on the bandwagon and shout it down, which is annoying to see, to say the least. So that brings me to the end of this video. If you did like it, please smash a thumbs up on it. That would be great. It does help the algorithms for the channel to get the message out there. If you do like the content on the channel, you know, a lot of it is news based at the moment, just because, you know, a lot of people want to see the news that's going on here at the moment. So if you do like the content, please subscribe, as well as hitting those bell notifications down below so that you never miss one of our uploads. That would be brilliant. So as always, catch you next time. Bye bye.
You done?
Yeah.
Wow.